This theme from DuckTales has been memed to death. And while they're hilarious, it got me thinking about something because as I'm listening to the beginning of this, I'm going, hold on, wait, something's not adding up here. Listen to this. What? Hold on. It sounds like it's so close to making sense, but no matter how many times I played this, no matter how many times I went through it, my brain can't make it make sense until I looked a little bit closer and I started to figure out that this theme from DuckTales is full of way more musical intricacies than you would ever expect out of something like this. Starting at the very beginning, let's figure out why this thing just doesn't make sense. Already we're off. Now we're even further off. What is going on here? Well, the answer is literally 15/8. Yeah, that's the answer. Why? I have no idea, but look at this. This reveals all. This is, when we look at it on paper, we're like, okay, now we see what's going on here. We still have no idea why, but this is what's going on here. Now, when I played this, that's how I thought it was going. That's how I thought that's what it sounded like. But if you count just to 4, it doesn't work. Then my mind was blown again when the beat finally comes in. Whoa. Now it sounds like that whole line has now been flipped around. When it hits this note, this B way up here, it sounded like at the beginning it was one way, and now that the beat comes in and we actually start into the tune, now it's completely different. What is going on here? Why is it like this?
Why are you the way that you are?
Well, again, it's just because this beginning part is written in 15 for some reason. Now, what's interesting about the fact that it's written in 15 is what it does to the melody, because when we take something like 15/8, that's so close to just being 2 bars of 4/4, that would be 16/8, would be just 2 bars of 4/4. So we are literally 1/8 note removed from a perfect 2 bars. So when we take something like the melody in this section, in this intro, it's easy to see how we could almost, like, our brains could almost account for the missing 8th note and just hear this whole thing right in 4/4. Because when we're playing longer notes, more held out notes, it's much easier to just assume it's in 4/4. This is what was confusing me when I first heard this. But you cannot just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't work like that. You have to actually drop the 8th note somewhere in there. And so it feels really weird. It ends up going like 1. It sounds just like you're rushing. Now, this is a quirk of this song, to be sure, but what's really interesting, I think, about this whole thing is where it develops from here. Believe it or not, I don't actually think the 15/8 intro is the most interesting thing about this theme. No, it is the harmony, more specifically, what we can learn about root motions. Do you want to enjoy music even more than you already do? Do you want to be able to listen to any song and immediately know how it's built, just like I do here on the channel? Everything I do here on the channel, I do with my understanding of the basic building blocks of music. And I use the piano to help me contextualize and understand that information. And that's why I wanted to put together some things that I feel are essential for taking your musical skills to the next level. For a limited time, I want to invite you to take advantage of a brand new bundle. The Jumpstart Bundle is your key to supercharging your musical skills. It has everything you need to get started working towards doing literally what I do here on the channel. Listening to music and being able to just understand what's going on. Starting with our instant piano guide. Now, this is actually a free course, but I've packaged it here just for your convenience, and I think it's a really great place to start with this bundle. It's gonna literally get you playing the piano in minutes. And then moving on from there, you're gonna dive into Piano Jumpstart. Now, the whole idea behind Piano Jumpstart is to learn even more stuff on the piano, still without any reading music or any music theory. And what that course is gonna do is it's gonna familiarize you with some chords and some chord progressions, which you can use to play literally hundreds of your favorite songs. And from there, we dive into my Intro to Music Theory course. course. The word theory is always thought of as this super complex thing, but really all theory is just naming some stuff that you probably already know the sound of. That's where we'll start to build up some of those essential music skills. And you guys, that is how I support this channel. I've taken sponsorships in the past and kind of done the more traditional YouTube thing, but I always felt like I was sometimes promoting things that weren't really relevant to me or you, and I thought it would just be so much cooler if I could build something that's directly from me, built specifically for you. And that's why I've built all of my courses on a variety of different music and piano topics. So if you'd like to take advantage of that by using the link in the description down below, I'm so appreciative of your support. Check this out, because this is loaded with some ultra cool harmonic content, and we're literally gonna use a bass line motion to create call and response. It's super cool. Check this out. So right in the intro, we have a hint of what's gonna come in the rest of the song. So we have... Now I wrote this as an E with a sharp 11. What I think it might be, really, is like just staying on F sharp and moving the root note down one. Now the reason I wrote it as an E is because like the bass line does go, and then the next measure goes. So that kind of, I don't know, it could really go either way. I don't know that it matters that much, as long as you understand what the spirit of the changes are, right? Because from here we go to D sharp minor, right? And then we get this D major, right? So we pull ourselves out of this key of F sharp major. Thank you for writing an F sharp for some reason. But we get D major here, and then we introduce our beat. And we finally get... how the line is actually going to go for the remainder of the theme. But real quick, I want you to take note of what we did with our root here. We went from F sharp, down a whole step to E, down a half step to D sharp, down another half step to D, and that brought us back to, we just kind of went right back to F sharp. Now this is going to be really important, because what we're going to do in the rest of this theme is super, super cool, and it all follows that same general concept of moving our bass note down one at a time. Check it out. Oh man, okay, this is way better than it has any business being, but let's take a look at it, because we're doing some really interesting things here. I look at that as two different sections, right? So the first section we have our melody that everybody knows. Right? Now, there's a really interesting thing going on in the root motion. Like we said before, we're gonna be using this general concept of moving downward one at a time. But the way that we do it is fascinating, because not only does it demonstrate how we can manipulate what we're using on the bottom of any chord in order to get this effect, but it's also gonna utilize what notes we actually choose and what chords we actually choose as we go down to create a call and response between the first two sections. Check this out. So we start on F sharp. And our first move is to here. Now, what is this chord actually, right? We went from F sharp to here. We're playing something with a, this is not an F, by the way. This is an E sharp. Listen, look, I don't like it any more than you do, but I made a whole video about this on my second channel over on Better Piano if you want to dig into all the piano stuff. I made a whole video about sharps and flats, why they're called sharp and not flat in certain scenarios, and there's a reason for it. I hate it too. It's E sharp. It just is. Okay, so here's what we do. F major to C sharp. This is the chord. But we're putting that E sharp in the bass, right? And then we do that so that we can move on down to D sharp minor, right? And we're gonna continue down one more, F sharp. Here's the thing, this is an F sharp chord, but we're putting C sharp in the bass, right? So we're already demonstrating the trick that we're gonna use. We don't have to jump around. We don't have to jump around like that. We can utilize notes within the chord. So for example, C sharp, E sharp, and G sharp make up this C sharp major chord. Well, any of those could be on the bottom. It's still a C sharp chord, still a C sharp chord. So if we know that, we can go, oh, okay, well we can take advantage of that and just go F sharp, let's just walk it down. Move that root, one note, because then we can just do it again. Now we happen to be on the actual root of the chord, which that's cool. Here we can go down again. Now we're back home at F sharp, but we're putting C sharp on the bottom. And that leads us down to the B major chord, which in the key of F sharp, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our 4 chord, okay? So we climb down to land on our 4 chord. Now this is where things get interesting. The next chord moves up a half step, and it's that, which technically what we're doing here is we're playing G sharp major, but again, we know we don't have to put G sharp in the bass. We can put any note from this chord, and we've chosen, ready? B sharp! I swear, I'm, listen, don't yell at me. I'm not the one who made the rules, but that's what it is. It's B sharp. And then from there we go C sharp, sus, resolve to the 5 chord. Now here's the important part about this entire first section. The whole thing is leading to that chord right there. And that chord, does that feel settled? Does that feel like home? Absolutely not, because this is the 5 of our home bass of F sharp. It's the 5 chord. That's our chord. C sharp. That's the 5 chord of our home bass of F. So this whole entire section leads its way to that 5 chord. This is going to be really important as we move on to the next section. So moving on, we go back and we start again. Only this time, we're going to change up the notes we use. Instead of going from F sharp to there, we're going to go F sharp to there. Now, do you remember this came from the intro? See how closely we follow the intro? D sharp minor. Oh, is this D sharp minor? Wait a minute, this is important. The 4 chord, the minor 4 chord, my literal favorite chord of all time. Here we go. F sharp over E. We're just walking that bass line down, right? I'm kind of thinking about this as we're doing it because we could, do we end up on D sharp minor, or is this B major using D sharp in the bass? It could be that, because the next chord, we move that D sharp down a half step and it gives us this beautiful B minor chord. That's so gorgeous. And it winds up bringing us back to our home bass. However, does that feel settled? This is really interesting. This is a really interesting device because we are playing our home bass chord, but because we have not put F sharp in the bass, it kind of creates this interesting thing where it's like, it's not actually settled. It is the 1 chord, it is the home bass chord, but something about this still feels suspended, like we have not resolved this whole section yet. And then we have a little bit of a, okay, so we're still working our way around, and then we get D, E, and then we resolve it. Now here's what's so cool about those 2 sections. The first section, like we said, was leading its way around 4, then we get this interesting passing chord here, and then we have a sus to the 5 chord. That whole section led up to the 5 chord. The second one leads its way home. This is how these 2 sections utilize call and response, and it derives that call and response just from the bass line, just from the same exact device. We're taking a bass line, we're walking down. Yeah, we have a little bit of up at the end there, but for the most part, it's kind of going in a single direction downward, right? Second time. And it works our way back to the 1. So we've used a descending bass line, but by changing the notes ever so slightly each time, we can create this call and response where 1 leads to the 5 chord and the other one leads us back home and resolves the whole thing on the 1 chord. It is brilliant writing, and it all exists in a meme. But we're not done, because there's still another section to this tune. Check this out. We've now changed key, kind of, sort of. there's our 5 again. Oh, well, wait a minute. There's the top, right? That's where it circles back around. And as we know, video game music is always written with this in mind, where it circles back around and it just kind of go in a loop permanently. Like you get stuck there forever because it just works so well. When it gets to the end and it works its way back, and you can start the whole thing over again. It's like nothing happened. So this last section is really cool because we have a 2, 5, 1 going to A major. Check that out. And then we end up on that C sharp chord again. And it has a little bit of a different context in here because we've almost established A as like a new key, sort of. So we have this 2, 5, 1. And then a 2, but we get that 5 chord, almost like we're going back to F sharp, except we don't. We do that 2, 5, 1 again. And then we do end on the 5, except we give that same exact resolution that we did the first time by going to D, and then D, E leads us back home. It is the coolest thing. There's like 3 sections, right? We have the call and response, and then what you might consider to be like a bridge, I guess, that leads right back to the top of the whole thing. I just love how this stuff is so incredibly written on the NES. We're talking about chiptunes. But the creativity and the knowledge, the musical complexities that went into building some of this stuff, and it winds up sounding pretty simple because it's not that the harmony is really complicated. It's just really clever. Also, fun fact, this whole descending bass line thing, this is not the first time that we've seen something like this used, because this specific chord progression at the beginning, you know what that sounds an awful lot like? There's the walk up. This is literally just Bach. It's Baroque. DuckTales is just Baroque. Oh, what else do we have? We have, oh, yeah. Ah, you know what that is? You know what that is? Yeah, and the only difference is that here in DuckTales we get the little bit of a different chord. But it's almost exactly the same. While the 15/8 section in the intro to this is super cool, and it took me a second to figure out, it almost reminds me of like the, oh, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Transformers theme that we talked about a while ago.
Transformers! More than meets the eye. Autobots raise their paddle to destroy the...
It's just got like that hiccup in it where it sounds like it's almost gonna be spot on, easy to count, like count it just like normal 4/4, but then there's something in there that's like a hiccup, and you're like, okay, wait, what just happened? That's how it felt when I was trying to like listening to all the memes. It always bothered me because I'm like, these memes are hilarious, but at the same time my ear is going, wait a minute, what? Ugh, yeah, that is the curse of knowing about music. But on the bright side, it literally makes everything more enjoyable because you pick up on all this stuff and it's so exciting to listen to. And a great place to start with that would be my Intro to Music Theory course, which you can grab in the link down below. It has like everything you need, from the basics of just understanding what the piano even looks like, what a note even is, and it teaches you all of the building blocks of music. So if you are interested in learning how to do what I basically do on this channel, which is listen to stuff and just kind of know how it's constructed, unless it's in 15/8, then it takes me a second. But if it's just normal stuff, like, yeah, you can just listen to it and you kind of know what all this stuff is. Then check out the Intro to Music Theory course in the link down in the description below. It's the best way you can support the channel. That's what I do here. Instead of, taking sponsors that maybe aren't necessarily relevant to you or me, I was like, well, let me just build something to kind of help you guys do what I do on the channel. Just understand music on a supercharged level. It's a ton of fun. That course will help you get started. Check it out, the link in the description down below. Anyways, I had to talk about this because I've been seeing the memes recently. I feel like it's an old meme at this point, but they've been popping up for me. And I was just like, oh, this is such a great theme. I've got to talk about it. So that is what descending bass lines can do for your harmony. But until next time, thank you so much for watching this video. We will see you in the next one.